Alex Cooper built the most powerful brand in podcasting, a Spotify deal worth over $100 million, a guest list that includes presidential candidates and Hollywood A-listers, and an audience that trusts her with the kind of conversations most shows would never even attempt. And she did not do it by accident. Every element of her Call Her Daddy, the set, the silence, the chair geometry, the way she handles a guest who starts to cry. It is a deliberate production decision. Most people watching see a conversation. I watch it and see a masterclass. Today, I'm giving you 4 things that every expert can steal from the most powerful brand in podcasting. And I'm going to tell you what I would change if she were my client. This is Think Like a Producer, an on-cam ready presentation. I'm Jamie Maglietta, a television news veteran, media coach, and founder of On Cam Ready Media. This episode is a little different. We are going deep on one show, Call Her Daddy. And it's all part of a series where I'm looking at YouTube podcasts through a producer's lens. If you're liking the direction I'm taking this show, be sure to follow us on your podcast platform of choice and check us out on YouTube. If you're not already there, subscribe to us at On Cam Ready. We really are pouring a lot into these episodes, but also providing tutorials on how to use the technology that is needed to start building out your brand online. All right, as I'm breaking down YouTube podcasts to help you become a stronger host and guest, Call Her Daddy is a masterclass in explaining just what you need to bring as both. Alex Cooper is not interviewing scientists or CEOs about their field of expertise. She is having deeply personal, emotionally charged conversations about relationships, trauma, identity, and culture. So we're studying it because hosting and production techniques that she uses are things that you can apply to your own show when you start creating it. So let's get into it. We have our YouTube channel up right now so you can see some of the thumbnails and conversations that she has had. If you haven't already checked out her show, you definitely should. Let this be a reminder to listen to her show and watch it on YouTube. She controls the room without ever controlling the guest. The way she handles silence, the way her set communicates her brand before she even says a word. Those are the skills that separate a forgettable media appearance from one that gets clipped, shared, and talked about for weeks. Right now, I want to look at Jessie Draper. That episode is where we were going to focus because she came on to discuss emotional abuse and a deeply personal story. And the way Alex produced that conversation in real time on camera is one of the best examples of a high-stakes interview craft I have seen on any platform. These are 4 things that you can steal. The setup question technique. Alex never cold asks a hard question ever because anything vulnerable or challenging lands on a guest. She frames the context first. She establishes the setup. She brings the audience and the guest to the same place before she asks the thing she actually wants to know. And as a host, this is a great technique. It's also a good technique to be aware of as a guest. That technique is different between a guest feeling blindsided and a guest feeling invited to share. One closes people down, the other opens them up. And what also is great about her is her demeanor. She's coming to the table very casual with her Unwell brand out, like drinking her, healthy drinks. We're in my house, we're hanging out. That is also going to help the guest open up because they're feeling a bit more vulnerable and open to transparency. Another steal, silence. Use it as a production tool. The most revealing moments in any Call Her Daddy interview come in the 3 to 5 seconds after a guest finishes speaking. She lets it sit. She looks at her guest. She waits. And what happens in that silence can be extraordinary. Guests add the thing they were not sure they even wanted to say. They go one layer deeper in the silence. They say the one thing that becomes the clip. As a producer, I can tell you the pause after the answer is where the real answer lives. Most hosts miss it entirely because they are so focused on what the next question needs to be. They don't stop and listen and take in the moment. So I want you to practice. If you've already been on a podcast or made a media appearance, in the next on-camera conversation, I want you to count to 3 in your head, not a slow 3, before you respond to anything. It may feel long, but it won't look long. And you need to practice it so you feel comfortable in it. Like if I get asked a question and I take a beat, I'm taking that beat to add emphasis to it if it's emotional, right? Like if someone says to me, "Why did you leave your job?" I'm not going to say, "Oh, I left my job because blah, blah, blah." I'm going to take a moment. Let it sit in. I left my job because I made a decision to be home for my family after years giving up holidays and weekends. I had a choice, and so I made it. In that response, you can kind of read between the lines, right? It's also emotional mirroring, right? So Alex is great at that. That's the next steal. In the interview with Jessie Draper, Jessie got emotional. Alex went still. When Jessie was energetic, Alex leaned in. She matched her guest's energy in real time, not by performing empathy, by actually taking in the room. Most hosts are so locked into their rundown, they miss those moments entirely. They're thinking about the next segment while their guest is having a genuine human moment on camera. And the audience sees that disconnection, even if they can't name it, okay? They see it. The expert application, whether you're hosting or guesting, stay in the room. Keep your mind in the room. Listen. Let what your guest or host stays in the room and lands before you reply. Your audience is watching. They're not just listening anymore. And you need to treat every question and every response as if they're hanging on your every word. Steal number 4, design your brand container first. Alex has set her tone, her pink chairs, her opener, her thumbnail style. They all say one thing: intimate, sophisticated, unapologetically personal. Nothing in that frame is accidental, and nothing contradicts anything else. That cohesion is credibility. When your visual environment, your voice, and your content all communicate the same thing, your audience feels it. They trust it. They come back for more. And it's hard to build. I mean, I've been trying to figure out what's my aesthetic for a year now. But when those elements all are mismatched, when your LinkedIn looks corporate but your podcast sounds casual, when your thumbnails promise one thing and your content delivers another, your audience feels that too. They just can't always name why they do not fully trust you yet. So the homework is, I want you to audit your brand container online this week. What are you missing? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Check out your profile photos, your backgrounds, your headlines that you use, your content voice. Do they all say the same thing? If not, that's your work, because you need to strategically position yourself before you launch visibly. Now, here's the part I want to be clear. This is my professional opinion as a producer. And I said I would get to this, so I wanted to make sure. The only thing I would really change about Call Her Daddy, if Alex were my client, the camera movement. At emotional peaks, I think that the static 2-shot is clean and elegant. It works. But during Jessie's most vulnerable moments, when she was describing emotional abuse and the detail of what she went through, a slow, barely perceptible push in on her face would have added a little cinematic weight without breaking the intimacy. So those little tiny pushes can really help in television. We always use them if a conversation starts to get emotional. We do a little push in. I know static camera is safe, but safe doesn't always serve the story. I also love her thumbnail formula. I think that they do rely heavily on shock value text and close-up reaction faces. It converts for her existing audience, absolutely. But it can be too sensational to newcomers. They may still think of it as like a sex podcast, okay? If Alex is positioning herself for a legacy media transformation, which is essentially what she is building here, the visual language needs to evolve into a signal, not so much gossip. A brand that is serious about being taken seriously by the press eventually has to look it. And I'm not being critical, I'm just giving you that take. So if you're trying to figure out what direction to take with your own thumbnails, you keep that in mind. Here's the through line for you. The techniques Alex Cooper uses are not exclusive to celebrity podcasting. They are the fundamentals of high-stake conversation craft, and they are exactly what producers evaluate when they're looking at a potential guest's existing content. We want to see how you handle questions that might be a little challenging. Can you hold a room? Are you listening and actually responding? Do you create a moment instead of just filling time? The guests who show up on Call Her Daddy and leave with a viral clip are not always the most famous. They are the ones who came prepared to be present in the room. They understand the format. They trust the silence. That is what you're building up to. And it's not just about your credentials. It's about how you can, as I said, own the room. And you got this. I know you might be thinking, I could never land on Call Her Daddy, and you may not. But you could at least show up and be a solid host like she is, or a compelling guest like her guests are, and make a name for yourself in your own niche. All right, guys, here's your homework. In addition to that, I need you to record a 5-minute conversation with someone you know. Pick a friend, and I want it to be a real conversation. No pre-written questions after the first question. I want it to be emotional. Ask them to ask you the tough questions you never really want to talk about. And keep in mind the soundbite conversation I also talk about in an earlier episode. Craft out your versions of a response, the longer version and the shorter versions. Get through that conversation in 5 minutes and see how many questions you can get in. See how emotional you can be. See if you feel comfortable with the silence. Watch Alex Cooper and watch her guests. See how they react. Look for the moments of silence. And watch how Alex goes when her guests get emotional. Look for those elements of change and communication that I talked about, and then ask yourself, does my content, my presence, my brand container, does it all say the same thing? Audit yourself online. Grab that visibility bundle to get yourself started. And if you're liking the direction I'm taking this podcast, be sure to follow us on your podcast platform of choice, or look for us on YouTube at On Cam Ready. I'm Jamie Maglietta. This is Think Like a Producer. And I'm really, really hoping that this show, these episodes, help you become a stronger force within your niche so that you can build a digital presence that both attracts clients and helps you earn press. I'll see you online. Bye.